Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. Today is Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Now, remember that site now is a perfect time to jump on board. $1 for the first month for new subscribers, or take advantage of that annual 50% off an annual and go ahead and lock it in for the year at a really low price. I think it's like $50 or something like that. Joined as I always am, always when he's here. Go. When he's here, he's always here. Mr. Jhead, how about you, big dog?
How about you, brother? How you doing today?
Fairly well, man. I'm excited about this week coming up. This weekend is a big one for Auburn, for us, for the fans, for everybody. And Auburn versus Georgia, 2:30 CBS game. Going to be a lot of excitement. The number one team in the country. Nothing to lose here for Auburn. It's going to be a big one. We will get to that. For those wondering, Mr. Cole Pinkston will join us here shortly. He is on assignment for we don't know. It's a secret assignment. We've got to keep that down low. Listen, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you, and I'm just smiling because I got my Birddogs on. If you don't, folks, you're missing out. Go get you some Birddogs. Join me. I got the underwear. If I don't have the underwear, I got the shorts. If I don't have the shorts, I got the pants, son. And I got the polo. Go now to birddogs.com/Auburn, AUBURN, to get a free Hydro Flask style bird dog. You see what I'm saying? Bird dog. Look at that big dog. Get you a bird dog for your big dog. Let's see. And let me tell you why they're so comfortable, folks. If you own a pair, if you tried a pair on, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, listen, I would have been like very skeptical, right? I mean, what's the big deal? I got my AM1 from Sam's, my underwear from Sam's, my AM1s. I don't need no Birddogs. I try them. All right. Birddogs, first of all, they make you look good. I mean, look at me. You can't even see my Birddogs. I look good. Birddogs, they stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you that truly sculpted look. Look, I even got a tramp stamp on these. I thought I was kidding about them and and listen, you seen Lululemon in the news for all the wrong reasons? Yeah, I hate to see that too. But Birddogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Birddogs fix that issue by inventing the cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get that slimmer fit. Get you some Birddogs. Go to www.birddogs.com/Auburn, all caps. Get you this Birddogs Hydro Flask style mug and get you some of the best fitting, feeling underwear, shorts, pants, polos that you'll ever have.
Whatever you want, big dog.
Get you some Birddogs for the big dogs. All right. We mentioned earlier in the show that this week Auburn will be hosting number one Georgia. Unless you've been living under a rock, you already knew that. You may not know. My God, I'm out of breath just from like standing up. Whoo, that's bad, isn't it? I've been walking too.
Hey, look, I can tell, man. The face looks thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You didn't know this, but it's the Birddogs. That's what they do for you, man.
I'm telling you, that slim look.
Slim fit. Got a bunch of visitors coming in to Auburn. As of right now, we have confirmed 7 official visitors. Yes. In addition, I just confirmed the other day, we'll get to the basketball too. Well, let me hit the basketball real quick. Bruce Pearl and them started practice on Tuesday. The season has officially begun. They've got 2 official visitors coming in this weekend. 2025 5-star shooting guard Jalen Harrelson, 2025 4-star shooting guard Jeremiah Green. Both of those guys will be in for official visits. Harrelson is ranked the number 5 overall player in the country. He is a big dog. Jeremiah Green, number 51 overall. Another guy, Malik Thomas, he's a 5-star in the 2025 class. He was scheduled to come in. He has postponed. He will come at a later date. And some people go, oh, he won't never come back. If you'll remember Bryson Tiller 2 weeks ago, who was a 5-star in the 2025 class, he was scheduled to come and he had to postpone. Well, he's coming back this weekend on an unofficial visit. He's the number, what do I have him? Number 6 overall player in the country. I think Auburn has the number 5, number 6. Both of those players are coming in. And then, of course, one of my favorites, Jhead Pettiford. I think he is a 5-star on Rivals. He should be a 5-star across the board. Dude can sling it. He can sling it, yeah. He can sling it in the net.
Yes.
Also, Simon Walker, I'm a big fan of. In-state kid, 2025 kid, can shoot the lights out, came to camp this summer, really, really showed out with his shooting, kind of a Scotty Pullman. What am I trying to say? Scotty Pullman vibe? I mean,
I would equate him more actually to the young man that we had a few years ago, that transferred out.
Was Scotty a point guard?
He was a 2.
Are you talking about Justin?
Yeah.
Oh. You know what? He looks a lot similar, doesn't he?
He does.
Built a lot similar.
Game is similar. And look, Justin could play. That was never an issue as far
Bruce loved him too.
Absolutely. Good kid. He just, it just didn't work out for him in Auburn. But Bruce loves shooters. This is a kid that can absolutely stroke it. Underrated, in my honest opinion. I've watched a lot of him. So that's, to me, if you can get that one committed, and he's a 2025 kid as well, that's not one to turn your nose up at just because you got these other guys coming in. I promise you that.
Jhead, he shot almost 50% from the floor last year for Pro 1 in the AAU circuit. He shot 36% from behind the three-point stripe, 13 points. He's a bucket, as they say. Really good kid. So Simon Walker, Jhead Pettiford. I think Jhead Pettiford is the only 2024 guy. Everybody else is 2025. So be curious to see how these guys' visits go. And we'll have all the coverage we can at Auburn Live on 3. As far as football goes, we've confirmed 7 official visitors so far. As far as I know, as of Wednesday, these guys still plan to come. You've got KJ Bolden, the 5-star that's committed to Florida State. He'll be in. He was at Georgia last weekend. He's coming into Auburn this weekend. If you'll remember, before he committed, he attended Big Cat Weekend.
Yes.
And so, Auburn felt pretty good about their chances going into that commitment. Florida State obviously ended up winning out, but he's coming to Auburn. We'll see what happens. Another guy committed elsewhere, Jeremiah Beeman, the 4-star Alabama commitment. He's coming down from Birmingham, from Parker High School. A couple of his underclassmen teammates are coming as well. 4-star Jordan Crawford, and then the 5-star Naeem Offord. Both of those guys, according to our Cole Pinkston, will be on unofficial visits. A couple of commitments, actually more than a couple, 3 commitments. Joseph Phillips,
yes,
big dog linebacker from Tuskegee's coming in. Walker White, who had a fantastic game this past weekend as they blasted Pulaski Academy. Little Rock Christian did. He's coming down for his official visit. D'Angelo Barber's coming over from Clay Chalkville for his official visit. And listen, Jhead, these 2 next guys are the ones I might be more curious to hear from. Your main man, Laquan Robinson, the JUCO safety, originally from Greenville, Alabama, is coming for his official visit. And then Favor Edwin, the big, raw, but dog offensive tackle, Favor Edwin from Eagles Landing, coming over. What do you think about that list of visitors there, Jhead?
Love that list of visitors. It's a nice blend of already committed prospects, a prospect that you're trying to flip, and then 2 guys to me that are in positions of need in this class. Look, we kind of saw what happened when Auburn got down a couple of guys in the back end. We gave up that 7 ball at Texas A&M that was an absolute backbreaker. Laquan Robinson is a guy that can come in and be in your 2 deep right away. And to me, that makes him a very important part of this class. Should you be able to get him committed? Obviously, offensive line, we've got 1 commitment right now. And that 1 commitment is going to be visiting Texas. And I'm not saying that he's flipping to Texas. I'm just saying that you need to make sure that you have more than 1 offensive line commitment in your class. Favor Edwin's a good one. He's raw, but all the clay's there. So if you can make a move this weekend, that'd be a really great pickup for this team.
You mentioned it. We got to mention DeAndre Carter, the lone offensive line commitment for Auburn, is going to Texas for an official visit this weekend. I think we've reported this before, but this is a visit he had set up before his commitment. Yes. He is upholding him to the bar. He gave Texas his word he would still visit them, and he is. Now, behind the scenes, him and his family have been talking, communicating openly and freely with Auburn about this visit. They have assured them that they're honoring their word, that they still feel very good about Auburn. It's saying all the right things. But as I've said many times, and I'm sure I'm not the only one saying this, but anytime you've got a commitment visiting another school, especially an official visit, there's room for worry, room for some type of concern. Maybe more so for other. I'm not Florida State. I'm not freaking out because KJ Bolden's visiting Auburn.
Right. That's probably about the same level of concern I have with Texas.
Okay.
And DeAndre Carter. I don't get the sense, even though they've got his 5-star teammate committed, and even
Brandon
though
Baker.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Baker, I think is his last name.
Right. I think Auburn's done what it needed to do to get this young man's commitment. I don't get the feeling that he's looking to flip, but you're right. He's visiting. And if he's visiting, that means he's listening. And if he's listening, that means that there's an opportunity there. So if I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, putting my concern level out there, let's give it a 5. We're probably at about a 5, maybe a 4.
I hear you.
We'll see where it comes out of that visit.
I think that's fair. I think that's about where I am too. Well, if you consider that a coin flip, I don't consider that a coin flip. I hear you, man. I hear what you're saying.
If a coin flip to me is, are we at a 7? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not there. I'm not way on the other end of it. Maybe closer to, say, let's go 4 or 3. You know what I mean? We're underneath the coin flip for sure.
If I were doing percentages on hot board percentages with this, I would say I still have an 80% confidence level that DeAndre Carter sticks with Auburn after this visit. We'll see, though. Who knows? I think it's worth also talking about Jalewis Solomon.
Yes.
Jalewis Solomon, the 4-star defensive back commitment. Actually, he's an athlete, man. He's from Schley County, Georgia. If y'all remember his commitment, if you were on the corner that day, man, there was some flip-flop going on, big dog. He woke up, he was going to South Carolina. He was locked in. The edits were made. The quotes were put on pictures. They were ready to go. And then he changed his mind mid-morning. He was coming to Auburn. And about 30 minutes before he was to go live with his commitment, he switched back to South Carolina. And then when it was time to announce, his family was running late. And an hour later, he flipped back and committed to Auburn. It was just one of those deals. And we've been saying, Jhead, you, Cole, and I both, all three, have been saying, if there's one to keep an eye on, if there's a commitment to keep an eye on, he's the one. And that's because he was just so flip-floppy on the day of his commitment. Probably one of those guys who could have waited before he made that decision. But that's just how things are now. Now, the reason we're bringing him up is because he's kind of sent out some vague red flags, if you will, right, on Twitter, on X, whatever they call it. I think he posted something like "not over yet," which could mean the date that he was on that night. I don't know, but there was a Hayes Fawcett. It's decommitment season, and he liked it. Was he talking about Auburn flipping somebody? Was he talking about him? But again, red flags if you're an Auburn fan.
Right. Things you're paying attention to anyway that are catching your attention, whether it means anything or
noteworthy.
Not. Yeah.
Noteworthy.
There you go.
And that might be it. It's worth mentioning, and that's why we're mentioning it.
Right. It's worth mentioning in that this is recruiting. Everything is always fluid. Do we anticipate anything happening soon? Not at all. I haven't heard anything that makes me think Jalewis Solomon is considering a flip to South Carolina. Is there the potential there that could happen? Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely there is. And look, South Carolina hasn't left that recruitment. There are other people still trying to get bites at the apple as far as that young man is concerned. He's having a hell of a senior season. So there are other people that have noticed what Auburn was able to notice earlier this summer when they had him in for that 7-on-7 camp. And he was the MVP and put on one of the better performances the coaching staff has seen in person. So understand that this is big dog recruiting. And when you've got kids like him committed, there are going to be other teams that are going to come after him. Doesn't mean that this coaching staff is worried about it. Doesn't mean that they're not worried about it either. And they're not doing everything they can to keep this young man in the class. So I'm with you. It's something worth monitoring.
Including, listen, he's listed as a DB commitment, but he really should be an athlete commitment. This kid can play wide receiver. If you've been following his senior season in the commit tracker, dude is just having a ball on offense. And listen, some people I've spoke to in and around his recruitment on the Auburn side have not, in concrete, he's playing defensive back. Man, if he wants a shot at wide receiver, he will certainly get a shot at wide receiver. He's proved that he's good enough to play at this next level. So, like I said, he's listed as a DB commitment, probably more of an athlete if you wanted to be more fair. But we'll see what happens there. Speaking of wide receivers, I think a couple of noteworthy wide receiver recruits for this weekend. I think I reported back on Sunday, Cam Coleman was coming in for an unofficial visit, and he is now expected to go to Colorado for an official visit. That was followed soon after by the news that Nye Carr has decommitted from Georgia, and according to my sources, he is expected to visit Auburn on Saturday. Jhead, what do you the Nye Carr news to me is bigger. I mean, I think Cam's going to, it's not like, oh, he's picking Colorado over Auburn. He's going to see Colorado, USC. A lot of folks are going. He can come to Auburn for the Ole Miss game, Mississippi State game, the Iron Bowl, and I would expect him to be at least one of those, if not two of those games. And maybe again any other time. He can be here in 35 minutes. Nye Carr, what do you think about him, Jhead? Have you done any research? I've been snooping.
I've been snooping. I think the door is open there. Would I consider us the favorite? No, I wouldn't.
I hear you.
I think it's a very even 3-team race right now with Auburn, FSU, and Miami. Those are the 3 teams that I've heard the most about at this point. And look, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Georgia to get back into it and get him recommitted. So definitely Nye Carr is more interesting to me. Not exactly sure. On Cam, you're right. He's 45 minutes away, 30 minutes away, whatever it is.
Depending on traffic.
Right. Depending on traffic, especially game day traffic. You can get him back in anytime you want, and they probably will. And I posted the other day, it's probably for the best. And I didn't mean that in a way that it was derogatory about the young man. It's more about, look, we've already got prospects that are going to be that we're trying to pour attention into. When you have games like this, there's only so much you can put into prospects. So it's good to get that spread out sometimes. That's what I was intending to say. So it's not that I'm, in any way, shape, form, or fashion trying to take a shot at Cam Coleman. It's more that we're able to devote more attention into Nye Carr and other players that are going to be there, that we have an opportunity to land in this class.
Would even go so far as to say, he's one of those guys. I mean, obviously you want him. I would be absolutely surprised and shocked if Cam Coleman was not at the Iron Bowl. And until then, he's one of those guys. If I'm Auburn, I might try to get him up there on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yes.
Come up here and watch practice. And then let's go sit in the meeting room and let me give you 100% of my time. And then come back for the Iron Bowl and get your feel. So that's when I read your post, that's exactly kind of what I took from it. That's not a bad deal. That's not a bad viewpoint as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, I was reading Zach, which has a great question here. Zach in the back says, how would y'all compare Nye Carr to Cam Coleman as a prospect? Are they two different ones, Jhead?
They both can play outside receiver. I think there's more versatility to Nye Carr's game where he could be an outside guy. He could be inside. He's probably a Z on the outside. And then obviously he's a slot. Cam to me is an X, all the way. He's that outside guy. And a good compliment to what you've already got in this class. I think both these guys are really great. Nye's better in space, in my opinion. Probably got a better burst. Cam's bigger, longer, that more prototypical wide receiver that Hugh has recruited in the past. Both of these guys elevate the floor greatly in your wide receiver room and would be fantastic pickups, one or both. So to me, it's irrelevant. If you can get either or both, do it.
Right.
And do it today.
Yeah, it's not like two guys are vying for one spot. These are two different receivers that bring two different facets to the game. Nye Carr, he's a lot more elusive than I thought. I've caught some video of him on Twitter and some of his highlights from the senior season. He's pretty elusive. He's pretty twitchy.
Very twitchy. Very twitchy. Very good in space. Very good with the ball in his hands. There are players that have the ability to make cuts in open space that you don't, that not all players can make. I mean, and I think you see that on our present roster right now. You got a couple guys like Jay Fair that can make plays in space. And then some others that just, they're more not as much of a run after the catch threat. Just they don't have that in their game. So it's good to have versatility within your wide receiver core and guys that can do a multitude of different things.
These guys are not visiting, but it's very newsworthy. We talked last week about keep an eye on some JUCOs, the JUCO world. They've now had 4 or 5 games, and this is when the evaluations for these guys really heat up. And we've seen Auburn extend 3 offers. I think we are aware of Brian Taylor, the defensive tackle from Glenn, who we were kind of expecting that him and Dylan Wade go back to high school, childhood friends. Florida, Georgia, a lot of people have offered this kid. I think, was it 24/7 has him the number?
24/7 has him as the number 12 player in the country in the JUCO ranks, and I think it's the number 2 defensive lineman.
Another one, Kamari Copeland. Auburn offered another junior college defensive tackle, Kamari Copeland. I've been messaging with him. I hope to have more on him. Also, Javon Richardson, offensive tackle. I can't remember where he's from, but there were 3 offers out to JUCOs, all on the line, 2 defensive tackles and a offensive lineman. And then I tell you what, man, I've been keeping my eye on this kid right here. And as a matter of fact, who is it? I think it was SEC Recruiting News on the corner had mentioned this guy this morning, and I started doing some snooping. His name is Jhead Hamlin. He is from Valley, Alabama, and he's now at Southwest Mississippi Community College.
Mm-hmm.
And he is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. If I'm not mistaken, he might be the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, according to 24/7 right now is the only people with junior college rankings. He's the number 9 overall, Jhead, number 1 defensive tackle in the junior college ranks, if I'm reading the rankings correctly.
I believe that you are, my man. I'm looking at it right now to confirm.
But he has been communicating heavily with Von Williams, as well as Jeremy Garrett. So there are at least 3: Brian Taylor, Kamari Copeland, Jhead Hamlin, 3 junior college defensive linemen, all with kind of ties to Auburn. Kamari Copeland, maybe he's the only one who didn't. But Jhead Hamlin is from Valley, and then Brian Taylor has the connection with Dylan Wade. Haven't heard much or learned much on Javon Richardson, the offensive tackle, but certainly we'll be doing some more. Jhead, we talked a little bit about before the show. We've seen these offensive line, defensive line offers go out. You wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Auburn test the wide receiver market.
I would not. And look, I think that's more of an exploratory situation where they're evaluating a handful of guys and trying to figure out where do they stand with some of these high school prospects. And that, hey, look, if there's some talented junior college guys that are out there that we can go get that impact this room right away, I think that's something they're interested in. Now, my guess is if there's going to be an offer, it's going to come off the bye week when these guys can go watch them live and in person. We know that you're limited sometimes in season with what you can do from an evaluation standpoint, except for on the bye week weekend. And that's when guys can get out and you're not hamstrung to necessarily a radius of where you can go. You can really get out and go see every prospect that you want to see. So you can see high school prospects on Thursday night, Friday night, and then you can go see junior college prospects on Saturday. And my expectation is that we'll see a few more junior college offers go out, with one of those potentially being a wide receiver.
And that bye week, I think Auburn will be out every day. I think they'll be at practices. They'll be all over because they haven't went out in massive force yet. We've seen a couple of coaches go out here and there. We've seen Hugh Freeze go out to see Cam Coleman.
Yeah,
so it was. But we haven't seen I think there's a max of 6 or 7 that can go on the road at one time. We haven't seen that, at least that I'm aware of. So it's been like 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. The most important thing for these guys right now is winning and being prepared in the season. So that bye week, I would expect Auburn to be very heavily on the road. We'll try to track those guys as best we can. Sometimes they don't like for that stuff to get out, but we'll do our damn best. I tell you what, let's hit some while we wait on Cole. And he won't be able to join us, but we'll give him some time. Well, let's hit some questions from the corner, Big Dog.
Okay,
we'll try to do our best without Cole.
Yeah, there you go. That's all we can do.
All we can do. Q1, Where the Train Tracks Sing is the name of this guy. Will we be looking to the portal for another quarterback next cycle? This is a fair question, Jhead, and it's something I answered on the corner the other day. I said, absolutely. I feel like you're going to have to. I feel like maybe two one or two guys are going to leave.
I think that's quite possible, Jeffrey. And I'm not sure which one or two guys. I'm not
Me
gonna,
neither.
I'm not going to point to that, but I think the rooms, if we don't get better quarterback play the rest of this year with the people that you presently have on the roster, I think there's going to be some transition in that room. I mean, I just don't see any other way around it right now to this point. And that doesn't mean that guys can't play better. And it doesn't mean that we can't improve. And your and I's viewpoint on this could shift greatly between.
I was about to say, as of today, my answer is yes.
Right.
Ask me in 2 weeks.
Yeah, ask me in 2 weeks, because what does Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford or Holden Gerner, whoever it is, do against Georgia?
Yep.
What do they do against LSU out of the bye week? How do they play against Ole Miss? If you see steady progression there and winning football that you can get out of that position, then you're probably not headed to the portal. If you don't see that and you're just kind of getting a mediocre product, I absolutely think Hugh Freeze is going to say, okay, we're going in there and we're going to find a guy. We're going to find a couple of guys because I can't take this one more year.
Right. And I don't have time to wait on the young guys.
No.
Unknown 1985 says, are there any Michigan State players that Auburn wants to enter the transfer portal? That I do not know. I know they have offered recently a Michigan State commitment. I had him on the hot board.
Sure did.
Can't remember his name. I can look it up real quick. But as far as Michigan State players, I know they can recruit South Florida pretty well.
They do. They've recruited South Florida. They've recruited the Southeast Georgia. They've gotten into states that are highly populated with quality prospects. You know what I mean? Those are typical states that you're going to recruit regardless of the school that you're at. Georgia, Florida, Louisiana. A lot of schools that want to come into Alabama now because of the quality of prospect we're turning out.
Yeah. Andrew A.J. Dennis from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, is a Michigan State commitment, big offensive lineman who Auburn recently offered, I think, a week or two ago. So, I mean, there's some guys. Auburn's not above poaching. Don't put it past them.
And we've got a connection to Michigan. Our assistant defensive line coach is from Michigan. I think he actually coached. Yep, he actually coached at Eastern Michigan last year. He's highly connected in that Detroit area. So it doesn't surprise me that we're kind of expanding our board a little bit.
AU Tiger 69 is Jeremiah Beeman, the 4-star defensive lineman, coming into town, giving us a real chance to flip. I think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not predicting a flip right now, but absolutely a chance.
I would tell you from my end, he's heavily considering Auburn. Does that mean that he's going to flip? No, it does not. Does it mean that he's interested in the pitch that we're providing to him and knowing more about what it is that would be available to him should he come to Auburn? Absolutely, it does. I don't think it's regardless if he flips to Auburn or not, I don't think it's a done deal to Alabama. I guess that's what I would say more than anything. I think he's open to a couple of schools. He wouldn't be taking an official visit to Colorado if he weren't.
When's he going there?
Later in the season. Him and his coach went out there. His Coach L went out there for the
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, went out there. I believe they're setting up an official visit. Charles Kelly is big in that recruitment, and I believe he's connected there.
That was the opener. They or whoever they beat the Dogmas.
Yeah,
Nebraska. There you go.
Yeah, beat Nebraska. But I think he's also interested in hearing from Florida as well. So we'll see, how this situation shakes itself out. Would I put him on flip watch? No, I wouldn't. Is he interested in several other schools beyond Alabama? Yes, he is.
Boy, I tell you, every day it's just looking more and more like this isn't the Alabama we've known.
It doesn't feel that way. Now let's see what it's like as it gets towards the end of the season. They played 2 quarters of Alabama football this past week against Ole Miss. The first 2 quarters they were awful. The last 2 quarters they looked like the Alabama that I'm accustomed to. To me, it's the recruiting part though, Jeffrey. I'm with you. Like there's not that fear out there about Alabama like there usually is. Like, oh, Alabama's involved. We're done.
I mean, listen to us talking about Jeremiah Beeman. I mean,
right.
Usually I would be like, no, not happening. Leave it alone.
Yeah. Right now we're entertaining it, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe.
Right. Yeah. If I'm putting together a mock class, I'm considering putting him on there.
Yeah.
Oh, Red Boy Triple I'm sorry, Red Boy, is that 2 or 3 threes? That's 3 threes. No, that's 2 threes. My gosh, my glasses are not here. Red Boy 3-3. What's the feeling on Naeem Alford, the 5-star 2025 cornerback for our defensive back from Parker in Birmingham? He is Jeremiah Beeman's teammate. Coincidentally, things seem to never work in our favor with 5-star in-state DBs. Can we finally get one? We'll have to wait, right?
Yeah, that's a TBD to me. I don't think this is the kind of kid that's going to commit early. Now, his teammate might, but I don't get the feeling that he is going to commit early at all. I think this is one of those situations where the young man enjoys the recruiting process, and unless he's incentivized to commit early, I don't see that one happening.
5-star in-state DBs. I mean, obviously Tony Mitchell from 2 years ago didn't work out. Was Enrique Florence? Remember him from Valley?
I sure do.
Was he a 5-star?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think he was a high 4.
Yeah. I can't think of any other in-state DB 5-stars that Auburn has had any luck with.
No. Auburn, most of our success has come with guys that are blue collar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we liked their measurables and their, the football IQ and everything else. And we're just a little bit underrated that came in with that chip on their shoulder. I mean, you think about the ones that have been the most successful. Noah Igbinoghene was a wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. The 3-star, though he was a 2-star when he showed up on Auburn's campus alongside Antonio Coleman, Roger McCreary.
Carlton Davis was a 4-star from low-end 4-star from South Florida. You know what I mean? Like
Miami Norland, I believe, is where.
I think you're right.
Yeah, all those guys are in the league still. Gerard Powers was a 3-star in-state kid, played forever in the NFL.
Mike McNeil, that's a good one, Zach, and I forgot about him.
Was he a 5?
I think he was at one
time. Yeah,
4. I think Mike dropped to a 4, and he was primed to have a really big senior season until that whole situation.
Poor Mr. Clifton. His grandfather was awesome. I got to know him real well throughout that recruitment. Good man. R.I.P. Mr. Clifton. Tiger AU Tack. What are the potential 2025 running back targets other than Alvin Henderson? Let me pull them up because there are some other guys.
Yep, there are some other guys, and I think it's worth tracking. I'm not saying that Alvin's leaning other places or anything like that. I think there's the potential you could take 2 in that class because I think we're going big dog hunting in this class. Like, we're not looking to take anybody other than one of Kevin Riley or the young man from up there in Atlanta, currently committed to Clemson. I'm trying to think of his name.
David Oziomume.
There you go. And Lord knows, please, you pronounce it, not me.
Yeah. But I will say this, man. Don't forget about Anthony Rogers, who's committed to Alabama. He is originally from Malik Blockton's neighborhood. Is that not Park Crossing? It's Pike Road.
Yep.
Anthony Rogers from Pike Road. I think he's now at IMG Academy. He's committed to Alabama. Don't sleep on him. Alvin Henderson, we mentioned. I'm going through some of these early offers, and
Usman Croma.
Yep.
Is how you say his name.
From Lee County.
Yeah, from South Georgia.
Alvin, let's see. Tavion Swint, I've heard of.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm like you. I'm not putting all my eggs in that Alvin Henderson basket, but I will say this. Listen, this kid's going everywhere.
Yeah.
He's doing his due diligence, no doubt about it. If we were to put a mock class together, he would be in my 2025. I mean, that's all I got right now.
Exactly. And look, I think that would be fair to put it that way right now. But he's entertaining Florida State. He's entertaining Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not committed at this point, and I don't think he's going to commit early. The intel I have is that he's going to wait until he gets probably into the spring of his junior year before he makes a decision.
He had mentioned at the last game he was at, I think it was the Sanford game, that he might do it on September the 12th, his birthday, but you could tell he didn't really mean it, or else we would have blown it up. Like, no, he didn't really mean it. You could tell, and he didn't. The Pearly Gates, good guy here. Was C.J. May committing to – this is a great question. I'm glad you asked this, Pearly Gates. Was C.J. May committing to Notre Dame this past week in a shock to our staff? Jhead, I know Cole and I discussed this at the Sanford game. He was there along with J.J. Falk. Were they shocked? No. And here's why. I know this. Some people say, "Oh, y'all always say this is the truth, dude." I knew this. Cole knew this. Jhead knew this. Auburn was not pushing hard for this guy. As a matter of fact, they were like, "Hey, ease up."
Yeah.
Like, listen, they've already got JJ Falk committed, right?
Yes.
You got Zayden Walker across the state line. There's a lot of guys they've got on the board right now, and all those they did offer CJ May. I don't think it was a committable offer. And good for him for going. He's a great kid. Good for him getting that spot at Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame is first of all, good football school, great academic school. Do not blame that kid at all for jumping on that. And if one of the in-state schools circles back on him and says, "Hey, we really want you," then he can consider it at that point. But I'm with you. What I had heard is that they just, like you said, you got Zion Grady, you've got multiple others at that jack outside linebacker position.
Is that Zayden Walker there?
Yeah, Zayden Walker's there. That's what he plays in high school.
Zion Grady, Zayden Walker. You want to wait on those two before you and listen, I'm telling you, Auburn could come back to CJ May next December and get him.
Exactly. And you got JJ Falk already. You probably weren't taking more than 2 high school jacks in that class, right?
So it was not a shock. And it worked out for everybody, at least for the time being. Brad from Birmingham, any position, who are the top 3 wants in the 2025 class? That's a great question as well. I would start at quarterback.
Yes.
Start at quarterback. I think the top 3 for me, McIntyre, Montgomery, and the Hill kid.
I think those are the 3 that make sense to me. Definitely McIntyre and who's the kid from Ohio?
Montgomery.
Those 2 for sure. I don't know where we are on Hill. And
me too.
Be better on that one than mine.
That's why I wrote last week in the War Room that I knew those 2 were at the top.
Yes. I
know George McIntyre and Ryan Montgomery are absolutely at the top of Hugh Freeze's board. Other than that, it's guessing. I would guess Antoine Hill is probably in that tier 2.
Yeah.
Along with several other guys.
Yeah.
But okay, so we'll go quarterback, one of those 2 guys.
Yep.
Probably it's going to have to be an offensive lineman.
I would think an offensive lineman, probably the young man from down there at Viger. Zach, give me the name.
Committed to Georgia.
Yep, currently committed to Georgia. And then let's go Zayden Walker as a pass rusher.
I like it.
I think that would probably be number 3.
I like it. Hey,
there he is.
I made it.
I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for listening. Micah Dubose. Cole, you can jump in on this question right here, man. Top 3 wants in the 2025 class. Jhead and I said first and foremost we would want a quarterback. George McIntyre, Ryan Montgomery, a couple of the top targets there. We're going offensive line with Micah Dubose. Jhead said Zayden Walker or Zion Grady. I think both of those are legit.
Yeah. There's
Naeem Alford.
Yep, Naeem Alford.
He might be top 3.
Oh yeah.
Jordan Crawford.
Yeah, Jordan Crawford.
What about the Pilates kid? Pilates.
Jaden Perlotti.
Is that his name?
Yeah, the linebacker.
Is that his real name?
Pilates.
You know what?
Hey, is it not Cole?
No, yeah, that's right.
I've been watching some tape. I actually like the Wallace kid better than Pilates. Yeah. I think he is.
Is his name really Pilates?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wrote that kid off when his teammate committed to Florida.
Yeah.
Tavion Wallace, he's the younger brother of Trevin Wallace that's at Kentucky, and Trevin Wallace is doing well.
Very well. Like, look, he can be anything like his brother. God, T will have that one wrapped up.
Yeah.
If he can be anything like his brother, and I've watched him, he's athletic. I mean, that apple doesn't fall far from the tree as far as the athleticism. Can he be physical in the box like his brother? That's what you don't know just yet. But the overall athleticism, you love it. That's for sure.
Would you put Ryan Williams in there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Derek Smith would be in it. He'd be a consideration for me.
Caleb Cunningham.
When we do the top 10 most wanted, you have to tier it because I do tiers on that. I just think it's better that way. by, yes, they want this guy, but can they get this guy?
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you. Good for you.
You know,
Yeah.
so, you know, I don't know where Ryan Williams is on that right now. I don't know where he is on the can you get this guy, because I think he's pretty locked into Alabama, but I mean, they're going to keep working on him. So, you know, he might be at the game this weekend.
I completely agree. I think the odds of flipping him are very low.
Yeah.
I think it would take a Saban retirement.
Mm-hmm. You never know.
Yeah, and to put things in flux for that one.
Not out of the question.
Right. Update on 2025 recruiting. We kind of hit this earlier, but George McIntyre and Ryan Montgomery seem to be the tier one. Cole, we were debating on tier two, maybe an Antoine Hill. I don't know that they keep going after Deuce Knight. I don't know that they were extremely high on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Tier one, I'm guessing is probably George McIntyre, Ryan Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what y'all decided on?
Yeah, that's what we have it. And then other than that,
after that, it's probably
Antoine. Some guys like Antoine Hill. I'll tell you, who's the other kid that's committed to? He's an in-state kid. KJ Lacey, is he even on there anywhere?
Oh yeah, KJ Lacey. Yeah, he's I'd say he is.
Okay,
he's probably tier two just because, you know, he's committed to Texas and Alabama continues to recruit him. So I'm not sure on him.
Okay, yeah, definitely worth mentioning though. Absolutely. Antoine Hill, KJ Lacey, probably part of that tier two. Let's see. Zach in the back says, and I see, Zach, that's why I actually mentioned him, because of the season that he's having. He's completed like 76% of his passes with 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's having a freaking fantastic season.
And you know who's pass protecting for him, right?
Oh, yeah. Khalil House, baby.
Oh.
Ooh, by the way, talked to Khalil House very briefly the other day. He says he's working on getting a visit going for Auburn.
So. There you go. Listen to me, and he's been impressive with a little bit I've seen of him on tape from his senior year. I've liked what I've seen to this point, Cole. He's really continued to develop.
Yeah.
So it begins. Garrett Mashburn wants to know who each of your must-have guy in 2025. I like this, man. 2025, a lot of talk, a lot of interest in the 2025 class. Who is your must-have? We've mentioned 6 or 7 guys that we think would be in our top 3.
Yes.
Who's your must-have?
Let's go each one offense, one defense.
Must have.
Defense, I think it's Jordan Crawford.
Must have him.
I was about to jump that one, so I'll go because of the importance of the defensive line. I'm going to go Micah DeBose on offense because we need premier offensive linemen in this class. No, I'm going to back that out. Quarterback, Ryan Montgomery. I think that's the one to me. What I've heard a lot of lately is George McIntyre leaning LSU very heavily, or at least that's what's been indicated to me. But Ryan Montgomery on the offensive side of the ball, Jhead Walker on the defensive side of the ball, just because of what that signals across the state to Georgia, and keeping it in the family and getting that kid here.
I think that's why he's one of my must-haves. Like, you can't let him get away. You got both of his brothers on the team.
You know who George McIntyre, by the way, Jhead, reminds me of Max Johnson.
Got some of that to him. Right-handed version for sure.
You know, Max Johnson started his career at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of who he reminds me of because he's tall, he's kind of lanky, but dude, he can put it on the money. He
can spin it, dude, for sure.
Yeah, I'm with Zach in the back here. My offensive guy, Micah DuBose. Flip that Georgia commitment. I love Zion Grady or Jhead Walker was my 2 picks on defense because I figured somebody else is going to have name offered on there.
Yep.
But
yeah,
one of those 2 guys, and give me the big dog offensive tackle flip from Georgia.
And I tell you what, one other in that 25 class, and I want to mention him. He's a legacy over there at Buford, Georgia. Nice, big offensive tackle. His daddy was a stud.
Oh, Braden Jacobs.
Oh, yeah.
Look, don't sleep on that one either.
Yeah, you're right. I forget about him. You're right. Let's go. W. Grant. Proof of concept, Jhead, has been used a lot on here. How is this helping or affecting recruiting right now? This is a great question. This is very subjective, obviously. Very subjective. And listen, my thoughts of this.
Mm-hmm.
Proof of concept didn't affect Nick Saban. It didn't
Yep.
affect Kirby Smart. It didn't affect Mike Norville. It didn't affect Urban Meyer at Florida. Both of those, all four of those guys had 6 losses at least in their first seasons. Lost to Vanderbilt, La Monroe, lost to Georgia Tech, and they still signed the number 1 class in the country, the number 3 class in the country, the number 4 class in the country, and I think the number 8 class in the country.
Mm-hmm.
To me, proof of concept. Now, whether it does or not, I don't know, but it damn sure shouldn't be an excuse, because I'm just looking at teams closest to Auburn who have went through similar transitions.
Sure.
I don't know that any of those four's offense looked as bad as Auburn's has in the two Power 5 games.
All right. Let me give you a comp for, I think, what you're getting at, which is Miami last year. Mario went 5-7. They finished with the number 8 class in the country. I think Miami and Auburn are very comparable schools as far as what they can accomplish.
I like it.
In recruiting.
I like it.
Miami looked horrible on the field. They got throttled by several teams, including Florida State, their in-state rival, and still put the number 8 product on the field. In the class. And you see how they're performing this year. The proof of concept that they got out of recruiting last year, so landing some of those kids that have helped them transition one more year, they're starting to put that proof of concept on the field this year. And I do think proof of concept in year 2 is more important than year 1, because year 1, you're right, Jeff, you get kind of a pass a little bit. If you still look terrible in year 2, you don't get that pass anymore. People start to truly negatively recruit you at that point. And that's when we talk about winning enough. And I do think, though, there is a threshold you can get underneath with ugly play. Like if you're sub 5-7, I do think it affects you. I honestly do. I don't remember anybody going 4-8 and pulling a top 10 class. I've never seen that.
Now, I don't know what they finished, but Florida is another example. They were terrible last year, right?
6-7 was what they finished last year. So
they got the number three, and they got drilled in the opener.
Yes.
It looks terrible, and they've got the number 3 class in the country.
Right.
So I'm looking at that, and I'm going, if it does matter, it doesn't matter a lot.
Not as much in year 1. I think it can help you more than it can hurt you.
Okay.
If let me put it like that. I think it definitely helps raise your stock, but it might not hurt your stock as much in year 1. Cole, how do you feel?
I think proof of concept is, if you're able to recruit without it, which in my opinion, Hugh Freeze has, because that was the thing that we kept saying, and everybody was like, come on, man, some people don't have to do that. Remember this on the board? Okay. Well, Hugh Freeze was able to do it. So now proof of concept is more detrimental to you than it can be helpful. Because if you can prove to recruit without it, then you've already accomplished that. You don't have to worry about proof of concept to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, hey, everything you promised us, this is what the offense is supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it becomes iffy. And right now it is. But the good news is you've only played 4 games. So there's a long way to go in proving what you can be. Because, like you said, Florida looked, pretty bad against Utah, but they've looked really good since then, or good enough,
right.
To good enough to show, look, you're on an upward trajectory right here. So if that's the case, Auburn's got time, but right now, offensive, I think if you're a defensive guy, you go, wow, I'd love to play that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, let me give you an example of proof of concept helping you. Go back to Gus's first season, 2013. That class was outside the top 10, probably number 15-ish. And then that team came on, and the recruiting class really kind of galvanized. They got a couple flips down the stretch, and Stephen Roberts, handful of other players. Landed Andrew Williams on National Signing Day. So that was a team where proof of concept got them into the top 10, in my honest opinion. But we've talked about it before. While Gus was a good recruiter and put an emphasis on it, I don't know that he was necessarily the closer that Hugh Freeze is as it pertains to recruiting.
I like it. LR Joyner wants to know, do you feel like big games like this one coming up are as impactful recruiting days as the average fan believes them to be? I do.
Absolutely.
I think they're huge. To those 17, 16-year-old kids, some 15-year-old kids, don't ever forget about it. We talk to kids now. They're like, man, I came when I was in 9th grade. Never forget it. It's incredible.
Carnell Williams, he's not at Auburn if he doesn't officially visit for a football game and get that Auburn feel, right? That electricity that only exists in Jhead and Jhead in those big moments for big games.
Yeah, I think you have to remember that fans and recruits have totally different perspectives on what's going on. That's the biggest thing. And fans don't, they can't wrap their mind around that. And I understand it. I get that. It's hard to understand when a team is seemingly not progressing and it seems like the program is sort of in a rut.
Mm-hmm.
Things like recruits would be like, yeah, I mean, no, I don't want to play for you. But that's not the way it is. It's almost like an opportunity for recruits. Hey, I could be the program saver.
Yeah.
I can be the guy that turns things around, right? And you mix that, because right now there's plenty of guys going, look, I could fit in right here and help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn. If you mix that with, hey, Hugh Freeze is calling me every day, the head coach, I think you got something. And that's why I think there's been success so far. But the game day operation of a game like Georgia, where you get to hang out with the coaches and see how they do things on a game like that, and then you walk out there and Jhead is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere is what it is. I think that's what plays the biggest factor.
Yeah. And that's important for fans that are listening to this show right now. The atmosphere is absolutely important. If it's like the Arkansas game last year, but no, the atmosphere is absolutely important. So, in a game like Georgia, if we stay in it, if you keep it close in the first half and that environment is just going nuts, I think it can absolutely have a very positive effect on recruits that are in attendance.
For sure.
All right, let's see. J-Rock Eagle. This is a good one right here. Top 3 flip targets. We'll hit these real quick to watch come signing day. Top 3 flip targets, Auburn to flip. Auburn to flip, Khalil House.
Yeah, I've got that one on there.
I got Cohen Eccles.
Ooh.
I'm still rolling with Cohen Eccles on that one.
I'm not there yet.
Let's see. For me,
well, it was Nikar, but
yeah, but he's no longer.
Yep. I guess you have to have Cam Coleman in the conversation, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Who's the linebacker commit that sit with Mississippi State?
Oh, Fred Fat Clark.
Fred Clark. I'm gonna put Fred Clark.
I like it. I need to check in on him. I'll try to do that this week.
You could go Amir Jackson from Florida.
Sure.
I mean, he's from Georgia. He's committed to Florida.
I completely agree.
Or Jamonte Waller.
Jamonte Waller for sure. Amir Jackson, I think, is going to be a tougher flip.
I agree.
You got Roger Salapega there that you're really going after hard right now with him not being committed to anybody.
Right.
Some good ones, though. Contos 32 wants to know, who do you all think is the best 2024 commitment at the moment? The best, most impactful 2024 commitment?
Whew.
Ooh, man.
DeAndre Carter.
DeAndre Carter. I might go. I was thinking one of the linebackers.
I'm going to go Joe Phillips.
I say DeAndre Carter because he's the only offensive lineman committed right now.
Yeah.
For that reason, I mean, you can't afford to lose him. You really can't. And he's good, by the way. He's really good.
Yeah. I think the top end of Phillips, if he hits, his first round NFL draft type. Like
that's very true.
To me, he's if he hits, like if they develop him the way he can, I think he's first round NFL type.
Let's see here. Auburn fan 2012 Reese Baker update. Is he real? No, he's not. He is a figment of your imagination. It was somebody we made up back in the summer to keep everybody interested. No, I'm just kidding. He's actually a pretty good kid, man. He's just taking a different approach to recruiting. He really is. It's just he's not out there. He's not out there posting his visits and posting his offers. He's not doing interviews. He's just a very different. He's a regular kid. He's just handling this differently than 90% of the recruits that we see. I know it's frustrating for Auburn fans because it looks like you ought to be able to get this cat in the boat, and he's just not ready to do it. And
good for him.
Listen, don't. I know we sometimes laugh at it and make jokes, but we're not doing it personally. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
And however he decides to do it is good for him. I've always said, man, we're lucky that these recruits don't look at us reporters and go, "It's none of your business."
Right. And isn't it kind of refreshing for you guys, though, to watch a kid that's actually going to take his visits before he commits?
Mm-hmm.
And when he does commit, he's done, right? Like he's not looking at anybody else. That's how recruiting to me used to be to a degree. And it's flipped on its head, a complete 180 where kids commit and then, hell, let me visit 5 other schools because I did it too quick.
Right. I completely agree. And I'm a big fan of it. So there's going to be a big weekend. We'll see if he shows up. We'll see if he comes down for a visit. We'll be keeping an eye on that. We're tracking it all at Auburn Live on 3. A lot of official visitors, a lot of unofficial visitors. Check us out Friday for a more complete list of all the expected guys. We mentioned the basketball guys. As far as how about yous, man, how about yous? I got several. I got to read them off. Y'all have any how about yous this week?
Yeah, I got one.
All right.
I'm going to give Pena 87 one.
That was your dude, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. He had a multitude of threads this morning with my name involved. But I'm back. I'm tossing it back at you, big dog. So how about you?
Cole?
Man, listen. I've got too many to name. I really can't even dial it down because so many people this week reached out to me and in comments, in personal messages, like, dude, the breakdown you're doing is fantastic. And that means a lot to me because I put it on the board because I feel like somebody out there is going to enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
But really and truly is for me because when I get on these shows, I want to know what I'm talking about. I want to know how to break it down. I want to know how to tell you exactly what's happening the best that I can. So I do it for me, but man, the amount of people that have said, dude, this is amazing. I'm going to give you 2. One is Matt Rudolph.
Yeah.
Matt Rudolph is our photographer, by the way, the Auburn Live photographer.
Yeah, man. I know Matt.
I'm going to go with Matt. I'm not sure I think he has a username on our board. I don't know what it is, but let's
Close
go with
enough.
Matt. I'm going to go with AU Deb.
AU Deb.
Because there was a post on the board about, are there any women on the corner?
And she rogered up, dude. Yep.
She did. AU Deb's been around for a while on the corner, and man, she's into it, and I appreciate that. I respect it. So AU Deb and then Contos. Contos is number 4.
All right, Contos. All right, let me reel off some. Cole, I've been meaning to give this dude a how about you for a long time. Connor Knight. You remember Connor?
Yeah.
We met Connor after the Sanford game. Came up, we talked to him. Awesome cat. He was writing a game story for his journalism class. He is at Auburn University. Big fan of the show. His dad's a big fan of the show. How about you to Connor Knight? Hope you got a passing grade on that test. All right, let me reel some of these off, man. It was a great week for the corner. How about you to Kaz for AU? How about you to Barnes So Hard, who said he wanted to get a shirt printed up that said, what's the latest on DeMarcus Riddick and Perry Thompson for Kevin? Yes, Kevin from Wilmer. That was awesome. Barnes So Hard. How about you, big dog?
That is awesome.
How about you to Jayville AU Tiger? How about you to J. Lee's Freshly Washed Birddogs?
I like that one. That's a good name, dude.
Let's see here. How about you to 83_Tiger? How about you to Big Tex AU? How about you to Henry 1955? How about you to Rob's Chubb?
Mm-hmm.
How about you to Phone?
Yeah.
That's his name. His name's Phone.
Phone.
How about you to Yabo? How about you to Dr. Doom? How about you to Big Dog Coochie?
Oh, God.
Dude,
How about you to Coochie?
You times that one, please.
Oh, Coochie Rabbit.
He knows some football, by the way. He knows
He's
some football.
Oh, Coochie said he would shank somebody for Jay Lee. How about you to Hamilton WDE? How about you to Mark Steffenhagen, who must have a dip of Copenhagen? I don't know that for a fact. How about you to Don Draper? And how about you finally to Mr. Whiskey Tango 5?
Oh, what a name, brother. What a name.
Whiskey Tango 5 wanted a how about you so badly. He started his own thread and was wanting to know what the hell he's got to do to get one.
Sure did. There were some nice, colorful responses in there, too.
Dude, that's where I got my how about you list, that one thread. All of those cats, man, they're fantastic. If y'all haven't joined, man, go check out Auburn Live on 3 right now. 50% off an annual, or we've got the $1 for 1 month for new subscribers. Again, appreciate Birddogs for sponsoring us. Y'all go to get you a Hydro Flask type, whatever it is, mug, birddogs.com/Auburn, all caps, one word. Of course, one word. Auburn's one word. You know that? All right. Well, hey, stick to us, man. We're going to be all over it. We're going to have Modcast Friday. We'll be back Sunday night for the call-in show, hopefully for Auburn fans, talking about a big upset win over Georgia. Regardless, we'll be talking a lot of recruiting all throughout the weekend. Stay tuned to Auburn Live on 3. Appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. We truly do. For Jhead, for Cole, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee. Man, y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.